Hi, welcome to another edition of Hub City Times Presents. I'm Peggy Sue Meyer, and I'm here today with Jolene Shoddy from Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Thank you for joining us today, Jolene.
Thank you for having me.
First question, can you tell us about Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a little bit about it?
Sure. Sleep in Heavenly Peace is a nationwide nonprofit that was actually started in 2012 in Twin Falls, Idaho. And it started in a family's garage where they wanted to do a project at Christmas time and help a family. So they built a bed and found someone on Facebook that needed a bed. And while they were looking for that person that would need that bed, that child, they had a huge response of people also wanting to help them by donating bedding or helping build more beds. So it kind of started that way. It started as just a Christmas project from a family in Idaho. And then it went on for a few years that way. In 2018, they were featured on Returning the Favor, which is a Mike Rowe show, and that just caused Sleep in Heavenly Peace to explode. So it was through that episode of Returning the Favor that many of the new chapters were formed. And I learned about Sleep in Heavenly Peace from a chapter in Trempealeau County that was looking for quilts. I thought I could make some quilts and send to them. And then as I thought about making those quilts, it just hit me like a light bulb. If there were kids in Trempealeau County that didn't have beds, there were kids right here that didn't have beds. And we needed to do something about this to help kids in our area too.
So this is a separate chapter from the one that originated. So what is this chapter called?
Our local chapter, is called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, Wisconsin Spencer area. So every chapter, there's over 250 chapters now nationwide. They determine what area that they are able to serve, and sometimes it's a county, sometimes it's a part of a city. And for us, where we live in Spencer, we knew we couldn't do all of the counties. We're kind of right in the middle. So we named our chapter Spencer area, and we serve a radius of 30 miles in every direction from Spencer.
And when did this chapter start?
We went to training in July of 2019. My daughter went with me. She's the co-president of our chapter. And we came home from that training just full of energy and excitement to get this off the ground. And our church had helped us raise money for tools and lumber. We built our first bed in Spencer in August of 2019. It was August 11th. 2 days later, someone had called the church, had heard we had built these beds, and knew a family that needed beds in Marshfield. So we weren't even really an official chapter, but we quick ordered mattresses, and we delivered our first beds in August. It was August 24th of 2019 to a young family in Marshfield that had just moved here. They literally had nothing. From that point, there was just no looking back.
And so how many beds have you built since the origination of the Spencer chapter?
Our Spencer chapter, we've held 6 builds. Our last one, we built about 30 beds, so that puts us up to almost 180 beds. And out of those beds, we've delivered 146 of those. We will be building more beds on June 12th in Spencer at Bunks Across America.
And how does someone get to you if they are in need of that bed? Well, how do they reach out? Is there qualifications or?
The way to apply for a bed is to just go to our website. It's shpbeds.org, and there is a tab under there that says request a bed. So they go under that tab and they have to put in what state they live in. It'll pull up the list of chapters. They can pick our chapter. Then they put in our zip code, and it tells if their zip code is one that is served by our chapter. And then they just complete that application. There's no financial disclosure or anything like that. They have an opportunity to basically plead their case, say why they need the bed. In our chapter, we're able to fulfill almost every request. In other chapters, they sometimes have to go through and decide who needs beds more than other children. So that's a good opportunity for them to say why they need the bed. For them to receive the bed, they just have to have a space to put the bed. They have to have sign an indemnification form that basically says they're getting a bed that was built by volunteers and they won't hold us liable for anything. They have to have an adult over the age of 18 home when we deliver the beds. And the most important thing is that they need to be available for us to contact them. We often get requests and then we're not ever able to contact them. When we call them back, they don't answer the phone or try those. We also have referrals through social workers, through school guidance counselors, through teachers, any variety of ways we can get a request for a bed. If they're not able to fill it out online, they can call and we can help them fill out that application.
And so what size beds are these? And when someone is requesting a bed, what do they get with it?
All of our beds are twin size and they're made of lumber and they can be bunked. So the children need to be ages 3 to 17 to receive the bed. We don't deal with anything younger than 3. And when they get the bed, they get a new mattress and all of the bedding that goes with it. So it gets delivered right to their home. We set them up in their homes, and when we leave, it's ready for the kids to climb in. Oftentimes they climb right in the minute we're there, but it's all set for them to sleep in.
And are you getting any funding from the state of any sort, or is your funding raised how?
All of our funding is raised by our local chapter. Dollar by dollar. Basically, we have received a few grants from organizations or donations from other groups, but just a variety of ways. We do some fundraising things as well, gotten different groups to donate. We also accept donations of new twin-size bedding, and the needs of that varies from time to time. We usually have on our Facebook page what our greatest needs are, and right now Hub City Times is doing a bedding collection for us, which is great. Our biggest needs right now are pillows and mattress pads, and then financial donations to purchase mattresses.
And you get those mattresses from a certain...
Yeah, we have nationwide sponsors for some of that stuff. So while we could purchase locally, the cost of local mattresses is more expensive than we can get them for shipped. So another example of a community coming together was we got some mattresses out of Indiana. And they were shipping them to us, but they were taking their forklifts, and every time they'd move them from truck to truck, they were jabbing the bottom floor mattresses with forklifts. So we'd get the pallet of mattresses, 27 mattresses, and there'd be 4 of them that were damaged.
Oh, no.
Which just totally increased the cost of that. So then they decided we could get them, but we had to go to Indiana to get them. So the Wisconsin chapters all went together and got a semi-load of mattresses, 16 pallets of mattresses. So there was a trucking company in Portage that went and got these mattresses and brought them to Portage. And I put out there on our Facebook that we were looking for a little trucking company or somebody to help us. And Bauer Transport, they're like, well, we come up that way with an empty truck almost once a week. So they picked up our two pallets of mattresses in Plover and dropped them off, or in Portage, and dropped them off in Spencer for us. So that was just another in-kind donation that helps us help all those kids.
Yeah, and to be able to exist. And
yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that has been just the neatest thing to see, the outpouring of support. And
do you know how many beds have been made statewide?
I know nationwide it's over 70,000 beds.
That's kind of
Since
heartbreaking.
it started.
I mean, it's great. It's a great thing to do.
But think it's 70,000 kids that have been in a bed.
That
because one family started to build a bed in their house.
That's great. How many people are on your board? Now, you mentioned yourself as the president and your daughter.
Yes. We have what's called a core team, and it's we're all volunteers, and there's our main functions are to build beds. So when we have our build days, we rely on all volunteers to help us build those beds. So our core team are especially trained in all of the stations that it takes to set that up. And then they also help with the coordination of deliveries and the fundraising and that type of thing. So there's a group of us. We're always looking for more volunteers that are willing to take that extra active role in organization of that. But we've really been blessed with a lot of volunteers. When we have our build days, we'll build anywhere from 20 to 40 beds, sometimes more on a big event. and it usually takes 1 to 2 volunteers for every bed we plan to build. So if we're building 30 beds, we'll have up to 50 volunteers.
And how often are these builds done?
We schedule our builds based on actually financial ability, what we have money to fund, and lumber prices have increased dramatically this last year. And then also based on our needs for how many kids we have waiting for beds, and our ability to build beds. So we have found some indoor spaces to build, so we're able to build year-round. But we usually do 3 to 4 builds a year.
And how does somebody find out about the builds if they want to help volunteer?
We also post those on our Facebook site. It's the Sleep in Heavenly Peace Wisconsin Spencer area, and on our website. And then we also do some, news releases sometimes and things like that. Word of mouth is a good way. If you are interested in volunteering at all, you can get in contact with us, and we'll put you on an email list and notify you of our build days when they're coming up.
And so you mentioned that you had delivered so many beds already. Is there any type of waiting list for these beds, or right now you have enough built?
Yes.
For
right now we have about 40 beds, I think, that we've built ahead of time. And we have mattresses in stock right now as well. So we're sitting pretty well. We're able to take more requests. We have about 12 kids on the list right now that we are hoping to get beds out to them within the next week or so. Occasionally they've had to wait. When we got shut down because of COVID, we had about 20 or 30 kids on the list, and we didn't have beds built, and they just had to wait. So that's the most heartbreaking thing, to know that there's a kid sleeping on the floor during that whole time and we couldn't help them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Is there a certain age demographic that can help with the building of the beds?
Generally, we say children up, if they are like 10 or 11 years old, they can help. We have had younger children help, but they are usually side by side with their parent, and they are amazing volunteers. It's a great thing to see kids out there wanting to help other kids, and there's no upper limit to that at all. We've had people sitting there in their roller walkers, sanding boards, and there's just a wide variety of things. There's no skills needed, and all the tools are provided. So if you have a willing heart, you're able to help us build beds.
That's really cool. Do you know how many chapters there are in Wisconsin? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, Wisconsin is actually one of the fastest growing areas, and right now there's currently 12 chapters in Wisconsin. Some of them are just getting started. There was 3 when we started our chapter.
Okay.
So we've increased up to 12, and I believe there's 3 or 4 more chapter presidents going to training within the next month.
Oh, that's exciting.
So we don't have the whole state of Wisconsin covered yet, but that's sure our goal.
Is there another one close? You said you take care of a 30-mile radius of Spencer.
Yes, over to the west of us, there are several chapters. To the east, there isn't. Like the Wisconsin Rapids area, Stevens Point area, none of that is covered yet at this point. We are hoping that if we are able to expand, we could expand in that area, but we would certainly need more financial contributions and more volunteers and logistics of storage and things like that to cover that area as well. But there's chapters starting now in De Pere and Appleton and Fond du Lac and Oshkosh, so that whole Fox Valley is covered. The southern area is covered pretty well.
So we just need to hit central Wisconsin a
That's
little
right.
bit more.
Yep. Yeah, but we're doing what we can bed by bed, and if you're that one child that doesn't have a bed, that's a lifetime change for you.
Oh, I'm sure. I think it's a great idea. Now, you maybe touched on this, but I'm going to go back for a second. What got you sparked into doing this? I know you kind of knew you could do it because you made a quilt.
I was going to make a quilt, yes. Honestly, I had broken my heel and was sitting on the couch feeling sorry for myself. And there's just no other way to get over yourself than to lose yourself in service to others. So like I said, I was investigating making these quilts and just woke up in the night thinking about all the children in this area too that don't have beds. And some of the things we've seen as we've delivered beds, we see, piles of clothes on the floor where these children are sleeping, or they're sleeping on the couch. They could be sleeping with a parent, with a sibling, in recliners, all sorts of circumstances. So.
Well, it's a kind-hearted thing that you did. I mean, and it's probably very eye-opening to see.
Oh, for sure.
Makes us thankful for what we do have.
Yes. And the great thing is that we've been able to involve just the whole community. If I could share a little story, we recently were donated a trailer, which makes it possible for us to travel around to different places and build beds. We have all of our tools in there. But we got this used trailer from Clark Electric. They were upgrading and had heard we were looking for a trailer, and we got the trailer, but it needed a little bit of work. So our friends at Progressive Travel knew just the right people to talk to, and it went to all kinds of businesses in the area, but Innovative Machine Specialists and I-State Truck and TJ's Tire Repair, Advanced Auto, Miller Graphics, all of them pitched in and chipped in and got it all fixed up. It's like a brand new trailer. So it was like the whole community that came together to help us help kids in our area.
And that's where you store all your tools and can deliver the beds to these children.
We have our beds in a storage unit that's also donated and very full. So one of our next projects is to also find more storage. But we have all of our bedding actually stored in our church right now. So some of the chapters have a workstation or a workshop where they keep everything set up, and then they can host Girl Scout groups or other groups individually to come at certain times. But so far our chapter has all of our tools in a trailer, and we're doing our mobile builds a few times a year.
And so you did mention the Hub City Times is doing a donation drop spot right now. Are there any other spots that people could donate if they want to once?
Generally, if they contact us, we can arrange for a delivery. We don't have any permanent donation spots. When we have our build days, we do have our little mini bunk set up there, and people can drop off bedding there. We also take donations at the Spencer United Methodist Church, and there's other groups in town that are making quilts for us, and it's just a whole community that works together to help us get these kids these beds.
And like you said, they can be from any age, from 3 to 17. So if I can find maybe some cute little girl ones, cute little boy ones, or teenage ones.
Yep, it's a wide variety. When we talk to the parents, we ask them what their child's favorite things are, what their favorite colors are, what things they're into, and we do our best to match those. Without a doubt, Paw Patrol is like the number one requested thing right now for boys, or blue or red. And the girls, it's pink or purple, and usually the princesses or the trolls. But as they get older, we try and get them more mature, older bedding sets. And like I said, we've had several quilt groups that have donated quilts to us. And it's such a neat feeling to give those child, a homemade quilt that somebody has put all that love into as well.
I'm sure. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we've just about covered all of it, but it really is a great organization. If anyone is interested in volunteering, they should contact us. If they are interested in hosting a build site or sponsoring a build site, the cost to build one bed is $200. So when we're looking at building 20 beds, that's $4,000, or 30 beds, $6,000. So we do have to do a fair amount of fundraising to complete our builds and to get all these beds delivered.
And you were talking about hosting a site for people to do the build. What do I have to provide to be a host?
Generally, if you're going to sponsor a build, you would provide a financial contribution, and then you can have that build either be a community event where we invite the public to come, or sometimes businesses do it as like a team building activity, or an organization will sponsor something and just their group, or they invite neighboring groups like a Rotary group or a Lions group or something like that. Sometimes FFA chapters sponsor things. We also like to see high school kids involved. It's a great way for them to get community service hours. We've had several that have done projects through us with community service. I would just like to say that our motto is "No kid sleeps on the floor in our town." And with everyone's help, we can make sure all the kids in our town have their very own bed.
Well, on behalf of me, I appreciate what you do. I mean, it's a very generous thing because unfortunately there are some kids that don't have beds, and we kind of take it for granted that we do have a bed.
Yeah.
So
A good night's sleep is so important to a child too. It helps them with their behavior. You know, you think of yourself, if you don't sleep good, you feel kind of cranky and it's hard to go through the next day. It's no different for a child, and if they don't have their own bed, that's night after night. So it allows them to be healthier and to do better in school and to have less behavior issues. It allows them to grow properly. It gives them their own little real estate. You know, if you think of your own childhood, what was the first thing that you really called your own? Was it, you know, probably your bed?
yeah, that's my bed.
Yeah, and so they have their very own thing. It makes them equal with their peers then as well.
It really is a cool thing that you guys are doing. I guess we should be thankful that you broke your heel. It's terrible to wish upon someone, but look at what you've transformed from that, feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah, you just have to get over that. There's so many people in need, and it's really not, it doesn't take a lot of time to help a child. Like I said, if you volunteer at a build, it's 2 hours of time.
Perfect. Well, I'll have to watch for your next build.
Yep, it's June 12th in Spencer from 9 in the morning till 1. And it's also during the Spencerama event, so you can make a whole day of it. They have a pancake breakfast from Boy Scouts, and there's food trucks on site and music in the afternoon, so you can just come and spend the whole day there.
And where is this?
It'll be in Spencer, right in their village park.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and thanks so much for the bedding drive, too. That's a huge help.
Yes, hopefully we'll get lots of donations for you. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Hub City Times Presents. I'm Peggy Sue Meyer.